And welcome to the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. We're off and running. I'm Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera down there in Arizona. One last day, soaking in the sun for 12 more hours if he can get it in there. Twitter handle, Cody_CHGO. Ryan_A_Herrera, and I'm just at Luke Stuckmeyer. We got a lot to talk about again today. I do want to start the show pointing out the shoes. Show them off. Go ahead.
Just look at these things.
New Jordans you got in again
I'm doing
today.
the Pippin thing.
The Pippin, well, the bottom of the foot.
Yeah. If this is easier for the people.
And you're saying to Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan, come home, man.
Come home.
There you go.
But you're telling me you didn't wear those here.
No, I put them in my bag because it's raining in Chicago today, and then I wore a different pair of shoes on.
I didn't know this existed. This is like the Loop businesswoman who has the high heels, but it's the wintertime, and she doesn't want to get on the metro with her high heels, so she wears the big boots and the giant coat, and then she gets to work, and she puts on her heels for work. You put on your Jordans when you get to work.
These things, I mean, they're white mostly, so it's like, especially on a day like today,
you don't want to get them.
No. Now, if it was like yesterday, I probably would have worn them.
And if you lived in California, I mean, you just wear them all the time.
Yeah. But
should be nice. I was trying to send out a little tweet here. Let me see if I can get that going.
Oh, Here we go. Grandpa Stucky in his element here.
I only got the word media. Here on there, but it's out there. It's on Twitter now.
Yeah.
And you can find the show on Twitter. You can find the show on YouTube right now, and we'll put it on and link it out later today.
We both just tweeted out the live videos on Twitter, and it's from the CHGO Sports and the CHGO Cubs.
Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us 5 stars. Make sure you like us.
Yes.
What are the other things they're supposed to do?
Follow.
Get a membership. You want to get a membership?
Yep. Yeah, especially if you want one of those T-shirts.
Ryan, can you hear us okay?
Got you. We're here.
And this is his last day. How's it feel out there?
I looked at the weather report earlier in Chicago, and it's going to be like high of 50 and raining for the first 3 days I'm home, so that kind of sucks. Yeah, it'll be good to get back in the studio with you guys. I'll tell you that much.
I'm so sorry, man.
I feel terrible for you.
I know you guys have missed me. You guys have missed me out in the studio, that's for sure.
We have, but
I will admit, we have missed you.
We have missed you, but we would like to say when you come back, keep your tan lines to yourself. That's something we want to always point out. Yeah. We don't need to see the tan lines. So we want to eventually in this show, we're going to get to the Anthony Rizzo quotes from The Athletic talking about having no regrets, the way things worked out at the end and not taking that deal. That's going to come up just a little bit later in the podcast. We also want to start off with Brennan Davis because, all right, all at once, Cody. 1, 2, 3. Big relax.
Thank God.
Sigh of relief because apparently it is just a bruise. X-rays negative. He was plunked on the knee yesterday, Monday in the Cactus League game. Said he felt better than expected. I believe he's not in the lineup for the Tuesday game in the Cactus League play, but hey, it's a bruise. X-rays negative. That might be the best news that comes out of spring training, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, that could have been really, really bad. And it leads us into the fact that we believe he's going to be part of this Cubs outfield before the season's over. In fact, we probably believe he's going to be a key part of the Cubs outfield before the 4th of July.
Yes.
At least.
I think that's a fair take.
Okay.
July before July 4th, I feel like is a fair take.
So Ryan, you're working on an article about the outfield kind of shaking out and how things will be. I saw Frazier is in the lineup in left field. It's just an interesting group they have, right? Like, Brennan Davis is the future, and so you slot him into one spot. Now Suzuki comes out of nowhere. You slot him into right field. And then, frankly, there's so many combos they could play in the outfield and in left field that I don't know if you're going to see the same lineup very many times this season.
Yeah. And you see, like you mentioned Suzuki, again, that's just, he's going to right field. That's just one thing to take off his plate of like trying to get accustomed to the game here, not only just to America, but to the game. And that's just one thing that's going to help him out. You see Hayward was in center field yesterday. He's been taking, getting those reps out there all week. Ortega, you mentioned. And there's guys like Michael Hermosillo who are trying to, land with the big league roster. Ian Happ probably will be a left fielder, but again, with the elbow thing, who knows if maybe early on in the season, Rossi gets him out of the field, just DHs, whatever. So there's plenty of different ways that this lineup can be kind of messed with, played around with. And like you said, I don't think we're gonna, at least not for the first few months, see uh, a lineup that's consistently everyday left, everyday center, everyday right. It could switch around based on matchups, based on who's feeling good. It's there's going to be a lot of flexibility in this lineup or in this outfield for the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, the Grandpa Stucky in me says an outfield that's not the same every day isn't a good outfield. But that theory has changed a lot in baseball. Joe Madden would have loved this lineup. He would have loved the flexibility of playing guys every day. And I think David Ross kind of likes that, especially in a season that is a retooling season. Hope we compete, would like to compete. Not sure if we'll compete, but you're trying to develop guys. Hermosillo, you see, is DHing in the Cactus League game today. You want to see his at-bats, see how he does. Right. Ortega's a guy, he's still only 30 years old, and you keep looking for a left-handed bat, and he gives you a left-handed bat with a little bit of pop. 11 homers last year. And, he had 300 plate appearances last year. That's the most he's had in his career.
Right.
So maybe he's a late bloomer. They're hoping to find a guy that's a late bloomer.
I mean, let's be real. There wasn't a lot of good or fun in the second half of last year, right?
No.
But there were guys who took advantage of those guys being traded, and Rafael Ortega was one of them. He, especially against, I believe it was right-handed pitchers, he raked off of a lot better than lefties. Obviously, he's a left-handed hitter,
which could make him a platoon guy
right,
very easily.
Exactly. And then Hermosillo, like we were just talking about, he's really good against left-handed pitching. So to start this off before Brennan Davis, that platoon of Ortega and Hermosillo in center makes a lot of sense, at least in my head. But really, also, like you're kind of leading to, just the way that the team is set up, it's opening up a lot of opportunities for these guys who have been fighting to just get everyday playing time in their entire career. Ortega, he's had some chances and hasn't really taken advantage with other teams. But Hermosillo, he was blocked because of Mike Trout with the Angels, right?
Right, yeah. You're not going to win that battle.
You're not going to win that battle. This is a big spring for someone like him, because from what I saw last year before he got hurt, I thought that, one, he should have been playing more, and two, whenever he has the right matchup, he can hit, man, and he gives you a good at bat. So he's one of the few guys that I feel like no one's really talking about. And if you follow me on Twitter, you probably know that I feel this way, because I was really high on him at the end of last year. I was high on him in the spring of last year. I thought the Cubs should have called him up much earlier. They didn't call him up until August, but he raked in AAA last year, slugged over 500 and hit. I think his batting average was well over 300 as well. He just hasn't got the chance to play every day and get consistent at bats. And if you look at the other guys on the Cubs roster, Patrick Wisdom was one of those guys.
Schwindel was one of those guys.
Another one of those guys, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm talking Hermosillo up, and who knows what he actually is going to do. But this really is a real chance for him to get everyday playing for the Cubs.
How do you look at the I'll call it a job fair. It feels like a job fair this spring in Cactus League play, Ryan. There's so many opportunities for so many guys. I feel like they're all just putting their resume out there every afternoon, and hopefully they think David Ross and Jed look at it and say, you know what, we're gonna take you up on that and give you a contract.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as the outfield goes, you got plenty. We've already talked about how many. It seems like a crowded outfield, and Suzuki obviously didn't make that any less crowded. He's a guy that's going to be hitting probably every day in right field, so that's leaves maybe two positions. And then if Happ becomes everyday left fielder, you got a lot of outfielders fighting for playing time. But Cody said, Hermosillo, there's a platoon there between him and Rafael Ortega. Ortega had solid numbers against righties last year, not as good against lefties, so maybe Hermosillo could slot in there on days that lefties are starting, or pinch hit during, when there's a lefty closer, the Cubs face Josh Hader or something, and Hermosillo. I mean, but there's plenty of room for that. The DH helps. The DH helps get more. You're going to want to keep more bats in the lineup, but I don't. It's hard to tell just because they've only just started games a few days ago how the outfield is going to shake out. I think you have maybe 5 or 6 guys that, like Frazier, guys that are going to for sure be in that outfield mix, going to be on the opening day roster. And there's a couple other guys that you might be like, they had a good spring. They might, Rossi might give them that shot to be up there and prove their worth. So maybe that's like a Michael Hermosillo guy. Maybe that's, someone else, but there's going to be opportunities in that outfield for sure.
Yeah, I think, I've come around to the DH in the National League. I was old school. I didn't like the DH. I wanted to see the pitchers hit because I loved when Carlos Zambrano came to the plate. And it was, one of the most exciting parts of the game is not when he was pitching, it was when Zambrano came to the plate and would swing so hard that it looked like his arms are going to rip right out of his arm socket.
Right.
But and when he hit home runs, it was crazy. So, but I think most teams look at that DH and they look at it and think, wow, we've got this extra bat. It's a chance to add more offense to our team. Personally, I look at it for the Cubs as an opportunity to build their team for the future because it allows them to put one of these other guys in the lineup every day or alternate them so you're constantly getting to see them at the major league level, because sending them down to AAA is not the same thing. You're just not getting the same experience. And if you're trying to retool a roster with young guys and you're trying to find that needle in a haystack, the one guy that got away from the other teams, this is a great way to do it. You don't have to put them in the outfield all the time, but you can still see their bat 3, 4, 5 times during the week, and you can just mix and match. And so that's why I think it will be a useful tool for the Cubs this season. It's one of the reasons I'm okay with the DH this year. And as the Cubs roster and team develops, hopefully into a winning team, a playoff team, then you start to worry about, well, how good is your bat? It's Nick Madrigal. That's why I would have no problem saying Nick Madrigal was the DH multiple times this year. Normally you'd say, well, he doesn't have enough pop to be your DH. But it depends on how you're using it. If you're using it as a developmental spot to see and evaluate players, I kind of like that. And I like that mix with the outfield a little bit too.
Yeah, no, you make a lot of good points there about just like all the different matchups and ideas. And yeah, I mean, you can look at it one or two ways, right? With having so many, then it might take some consistency away from other guys.
Right.
And then you look at the way you looked at it, it's like, well, we're in a situation where we just need to find out who we actually want here for the future. And some people, especially on social media, are very like, there's no one on this team that's going to be part of the future. And it's like, there were guys that were on the 2013, 2014 Cubs that were part of 2016. Travis Wood was on that team, on those teams, Not saying all of them are going to be part of it, but there are guys that are serviceable. And I hate to think about it, but if the Cubs are out of it in July and some of these guys are hitting, someone
that's not being negative. That's being realistic.
Yes, that's me trying to be realistic more so. And again, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, there's one guy I will say who will not be in the outfield mix for opening day. You guys mentioned it already, Brennan Davis. I think there was people holding out outside hope that, hey, if he has a crazy good spring, he could be on that opening day roster and play center field. And I think after yesterday, after the hit by pitch taken into the knee, I think the Cubs are going to be very careful about that. Even though, he said, we saw him today, he was walking around, said he feels good. Rossi said, X-rays are negative, and he said that Davis told him he thought he'd be a lot sore today from the hit by pitch than he actually is. But for those people holding out the outside hope that Brennan Davis could be on the opening day roster, I think the Cubs are going to take this very carefully and make sure he's good. Make sure, even if it takes a couple days to just make sure that whatever swelling is down or anything like that. And that's just going to affect the ability for him to, be ready for opening day in 2.5 weeks. So I don't think it was a realistic chance anyway, but I think what happened yesterday just kind of puts that to an end.
Short spring training too.
Yeah.
Once it was a shortened spring training, it became a lot less likely. And as
Right.
Ryan's pointing out, like, okay, now you're going to take a couple days away from him. You might as well just
Right.
ease him into it, start it slowly. But Ryan, you're not saying that doesn't mean he couldn't be up on the major league roster in 2 months.
No, I mean, I think there's definitely a chance that he's up. Like you guys said July 4th, it's probably about the midway point. I think there's certainly a chance, maybe a little closer to that than probably maybe in June would be the absolute earliest I could see it. If you, especially because you think about it, he doesn't have that many plate appearances above Double A anyway. Just going back to last year, and you have the 2020 season's a lost season for the minor leaguers, so he's they're going to get him at bats in AAA in Iowa, and if he is absolutely tearing it apart, yeah, I think you could see him up there in June. If he's struggling or they want to get him some more development, they see things, you might have to push that back a little bit, but certainly not opening day. But if we get closer to the midway point of the season, there's certainly a possibility. You just kind of have to see what happens in the next couple months.
Hey, no reason to rush a guy when guys are throwing all over the place in Cactus League play, too, because they're just trying to get used to being back on the mound and being in game action. I was listening to Max Bain's, one of his old podcasts a while back, and he was talking about how when Brennan Davis came to South Bend, he was terrified to throw him BP because he was like, I want to work on stuff. I can't hit Brennan Davis. Like,
Yeah.
you can't make me throw to this guy. The guys were like, within the organization, knew he was so good that they were like, oh, I'm not throwing batting practice. Don't put me in that position, So I think some of spring training can be that same way with live BPs within your team. Guys they're trying to get a handle for their pitches, and that's not the time to put out your prize prospect who just got plunked on the knee and force him into any more action. Hey, I also saw Owen Casey was in the lineup for the game on Tuesday. That's a guy I would like to see.
Yeah.
That's another hot prospect, Canadian guy with a big swing, and hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, he started in rookie ball last year, but then made it like at the end of the year. He got promoted to Myrtle Beach, and he came right on the scene and mashed. Honestly, was part of the Yu Darvish trade. Yeah, I mean, I think he has a high ceiling. I don't know what he's ranked in the Cubs system, but it's pretty high.
I don't know, but he's somebody that I will like to watch in Cactus League games. I'd like to see his swing. Everybody says it's real natural swing, and I just feel like I haven't seen enough of it. Everything I've read about him is very positive, and the outlook is good there.
Power lefty bat, man. You love him.
Can't hurt that. Yeah. Can't hurt with that. All right, so now Ryan talked to some players while he's been out there, and one of them, I'm going to set this up for you, Ryan. It was Justin Steele, right? And we got a camera out there, and we gave you a microphone, and then apparently they gave you another microphone, and we're gonna play the clip, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. But it's your interview with anything you want to set up on this Justin Steele interview?
Number one, I have a couple of Hawaiian shirts. So you'll see a different one. And number two is my first on-camera interview, like interviewing someone on camera. So go easy on me in the comments, please. In the comments.
Well, we'll save that for afterwards. Let's take a look and listen to Justin Steele.
I'm Ryan Herrera. You know me, CHGO Cubs. Go follow us on Twitter at CHGO_Cubs. I got with Justin Steele here with me, power lefty of the Cubs. Hopefully a rotation piece, but Justin, how has the beginning of spring training been for you?
It's been great. It's been really good to get back in the locker room with the guys and start building on them relationships once again. It's just a really good energy around the facility. It's a lot of fun to be back around with the team.
What was what were you up to the 99 days of the lockout? You can't come down here train at the facility. What did that look like for you?
Spent a lot of time back home in Mississippi. Me and Libby. Doing some, fishing, video games, normal stuff, and then we came out here right after Christmas to go ahead and get situated in our apartment and start preparing for spring.
Did you meet up with anyone out here?
Yeah, I was. Once I got out here, I started training with Albert Alzolay and Brad Wick.
So what were those training sessions like? Was it just you all just throwing bullpens, or what was
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of did our own thing as far as lifting weights go. We all had our own regimen that we were doing, and then on bullpen days were Tuesdays and Fridays, so all three of us would throw bullpens that day.
Okay. And so were you around Adbert? Like, were you there when that the injury, the pain he started feeling in it?
Yeah, I actually was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that that situation?
It was obviously not the best situation, but he was throwing the thing was he was looking electric. He was looking great. great. Everything was fantastic. Like, was looking very crisp, better than he ever has. And, just one pitch, kind of felt something didn't feel right. He shut it down immediately. And then, started, trying to figure out what it was. And then was obviously got the MRI and that news and stuff. But I think he's going to come back better. He's a hard worker, very tough mentally and physically. So I think he's going to come back even better, and everybody's going to be more thankful for it.
We did talk about that a little bit yesterday, and I know, you guys started in Arizona together, kind of went through a system. So I know you have a little bit of a deeper connection with him than some of the other guys on the team. So what has that connection been like with him, like building that friendship over the years, but also just, seeing one of your best friends kind of go down and he's not down in the dumps ever, but, maybe not feeling as upbeat as he usually is.
Yeah, so me and him, I was drafted by the Cubs in 2014. I was sent here to Arizona for rookie ball, and that's when he came over from Venezuela. And we were in the rotation here in rookie ball together, and then we just kind of moved up the ladder together, and we were in the same rotation for years. Eugene, South Bend, Myrtle Beach, and then once we got to Myrtle Beach is when I had Tommy John surgery. He kept on moving up the ranks, and I had to be out for a year, and then I came back after Tommy John, and then we both, now we're here. Now we're both in the big leagues. And it's honestly a dream come true, We talked about these things, coming up through the system together, pitching together throughout our careers and whatnot, so it's really special.
Yeah, so he got here a couple years before you. What was that like, 2021, getting that call, getting brought up? I know you came up as a reliever, but, getting that first taste of the big leagues with Adbert by your side.
Oh, it was amazing. I don't think my debut was when he pitched that game, but one of the first times I ever pitched, I came in after he did, and he ended up getting the win. It was really cool. And then there was a game against the Twins when I got my first win as a starter, I believe. He came in after me and pitched like 4 shutout innings after I threw 5 shutouts. So it's just really cool seeing one of your best friends come in after you, or me coming in after him, and pitching together in the same big league game.
Yeah. Was it that Minnesota game? Was that all? You started that game, didn't you? And then he came in, right? Okay, yeah. So moving on, but we're 3-ish weeks out of the start of the regular season. I know games start tomorrow. What is kind of your mindset going in? What are you coming in here to do for the next 3 weeks? To get ready for the season, but also to kind of prove yourself as maybe a rotation piece for Grandpa Rossi.
Yeah, man, I'm here to pitch. I'm here to play baseball. I'm here to get guys out. I'm gonna go out there and compete, and do exactly what I'm supposed to do. Wherever the Cubs see best fit for me to help the team, that's where I want to be. I'm not gonna say I should be this or I should be that, but I'm here to compete and get people out.
So where'd you get your work ethic from? Like who's probably the most like influential person on like the way you work as a baseball player, just a person?
So when I first came into the organization, John Lester was the big guy around here, so I really watched him a lot, how he went about his business. And then growing up, I really loved Tom Glavine. I loved watching him pitch, that whole Atlanta Braves rotation when he was there. I loved watching all of them. And then kind of like the Phillies when they were winning the World Series, I think it was 2008. And they had Cole Hamels, Roy Halladay, just a bunch of studs in that rotation. That was another rotation I really grew up watching.
I was hoping you were going to say a former Alabama football player that might have played under Bear Bryant. You want to talk about that?
My dad, he taught me how to compete for sure. My dad played football at Alabama in '84. Bear Bryant recruited him. But he growing up, it was always a competition around the house because I had an older brother, and him and my dad used to just beat me in everything. So like ping pong, pool, whatever it was, basketball, I was getting my brains beat in for a little bit. But once I got bigger and got a little taller, I started beating them. All
right. So now you're coming in. You got 3 weeks of spring training. You got opening day coming up. What's the message to Cubs fans that? Especially after last year, the trade deadline, the sell-off, maybe things look a little bleak or the fans, don't know what to expect. So what's your message to Cubs fans that want something want a reason to tune in on opening day?
I think we have a ton of stuff to look forward to. I think this is going to be a great season, a lot of fun and cool stuff, a lot of cool players to watch and stuff. I think going to Wrigley Field is going to be a blast this year. I think we got a really good team, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, thank you, Justin. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is Ryan Herrera again, allchgo.com. Go check out my stuff. Follow us on Twitter at CHGO_Cubs. Thank you, Justin, for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Ryan.
Love it.
Well done.
Ryan, how many Hawaiian shirts did you pack on this trip?
I'm I'm gonna keep that to myself.
I'm not gonna lie, Ryan. Whenever we watched, like, before the, we had to edit the first 5 seconds out because you had to let them know when you were good to go or whatever. That was hilarious. That just that part, because
the behind the scenes.
Yeah, because like you said, it was your first time doing that, and you could just read it off your vibe in that. And so in a way, I felt for you, but also it was pretty funny.
I like Mike Dubs has been saying hashtag I'm here. I'm just here to get guys out.
Yeah,
I like print
I love
the shirt.
That vibe. Yeah,
I'm here to get guys out.
Print the shirt.
I like his confidence.
Yeah.
I would like to see him get one of those spots in the rotation.
Mm-hmm. He pitched well on Saturday in the 2 innings he did.
It was a good first sign for him, right?
Yeah, and I think Rachel said it in the comments about his breaking ball looking filthy, as she says. Yeah. He and I don't want to say that I wasn't surprised, but his last few starts at the end of the year in September, he started to really come into his own as a starter, and we saw him out of the bullpen, and he was great right out of the gates doing that. Took him he had some ups and downs as a starter in that second half, but I really felt like the last few were just a sign of good things to come.
I feel like for a first on-camera interview, Ryan, we got to give you at least a B+ on that.
Yeah.
Right? B+, very good questions, good energy. It led to a great post at allchgo.com.
Good shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the shirt we'll talk about later, but I will. It reminded me, I was gonna tell Cody this, and I said I'll save it for Ryan because this was not one of my first interviews, but the first time I did an NBA interview was in San Antonio in 2000-ish, and it was Shaq, and it was my first day of work, and they're like, the Spurs are playing the Lakers. After the game, you need to get a one-on-one with one of the Lakers players. Mm. I walk into the locker room. The Spurs had beaten the Lakers, and Shaq is in there. And I'm like, what the heck? So I walk over to Shaq, and I'm like, hey, Shaq, can we do a one-on-one? And he's like, oh, okay,
When there's dark.
He does a deep voice. He does the whole thing. And I start to do the interview, and Shaq starts playing with me. In that, he starts backing away from me during the entire interview. So, each question, he would step away. And so, he's 7 foot whatever, and I'm reaching up. I'm 5'11". And so each time he does it, it looks like I'm a little boy interviewing him, and he keeps stepping away. And at the end, he starts laughing.
Yeah.
At the end, so it was like my initiation. Justin Steele was much nicer to you than Shaq was to me, although I did appreciate that we had fun on the first interview.
For sure.
B+. My Shaq interview was like a D. It wasn't great. It wasn't great.
You know what? B pluses get you a good GPA in college. So I'll take it.
Yeah,
that's right. I didn't get too many, but I'll take your word for it.
There is one question I wish you would have asked him about, and this is only because I've talked to Justin Steele before, and when I talked to him, I learned that his one major league hit last year was against Corbin Burns, and
really?
So he's against the DH coming to the National League because he when I talked to him, we talked about it for 15 minutes. It felt like about how just getting that hit off someone like Corbin Burns is one of the biggest accomplishments of his baseball career. Would have been you could have dived deep into that a lot more with him. I should have sent you a text.
Well, yeah, you should have. I mean, at least he got the one. At least he got the one before he was never allowed to hit it. Hey, you never know though. The DH doesn't mean pitchers can't hit.
No, that's true. That's true.
Get into a deep game at the end, and you run out of guys on the bench. Steele, you're up.
On the Shaq interview thing, I forgot that when it started, I said thanks, Joe. It was like a fake live, like that was. And Ryan was nervous. I was nervous, and I had a cold, and my voice cracked. And I just stopped after 5 seconds in. I'm like, we got to start over. And Shaq goes, oh, come on. He made a big deal of it, and then he did it. So, again, Ryan upped me on that. There was no voice crack. Once you got into it, you just fired into it. He's got a future in that, I think. We're gonna do a few more of those throughout the season.
This is coming from Luke Stuckmeyer,
Yeah.
All right.
That'll get you somewhere.
You're off to a great start.
I might end up on the sidelines at a national championship football game. So
Hey, that's
There you
right.
go.
just make
You never know.
Make sure you be nice to me because you never know.
Are you sticking around or are you heading out because you got to get more clubhouse stuff?
I can stick around for a little longer.
He's going to stick around. All right.
What do you got for me?
He wants to hang around and talk a little more in the second segment. We're going to talk about some of our sponsors and start with PointsBet for you, huh?
Yeah. PointsBet. If you're not watching the bet show, I'm on an absolute heater right now. I am 16-4 in my last 20 bets placed.
Where's the crackling fire sound?
Yeah, Mr. Krabs is right. I like money too. If you want more money, you need to go over to PointsBet, which is the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you out. Your home for live in-play betting just got even better. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, Live College Basketball Same-Game Parlay. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. Want more? You can also boost your live same-game parlays. Watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And now, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. If Luke can do it, all of you can do it.
Anybody can do it.
Literally. I'm not even
I did
joking.
it from my Moto Razor.
Exactly. Plus, during PointsBet Match Madness, all users can earn up to $100 in free bets. During each round, just place a $50 pregame wager and get a free $20 live bet to be used for that round. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet live with PointsBet. Gaming problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Cody, our next partner, has a product I've been using literally every day. I started taking AG1 because I didn't have time. I wanted better gut health, more energy, optimized immune system, and I wanted to see what all the hype was about. So now I've been on it for about 2 weeks, and I love it. AG1, it doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It's kind of mild, tropical taste a little bit, fruity maybe. And I look forward to taking it each morning. So what is AG1, you're asking, right?
I need to know more.
It's one delicious scoop of AG1. With that, you absorb 75, let me repeat that, 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. Special blend of ingredients supporting your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all things I'm aware of. I get up, first thing I do is I fill a glass with AG1, 8 ounces of water, and giddy up, I'm off to go. Nice and simple, a lifestyle that is friendly. So if you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy, gluten-free, or on the Aaron Rodgers diet, it's good for you. It costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health. It's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Athletic Greens is also a climate-neutral certified company. That means they're a fully carbon-neutral business. So right now it's time to reclaim your health, arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and five free travel packs for your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Cubs. Again, it's athleticgreens.com/CHGO Cubs to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I'm telling you, it's changed my life in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I came in here a couple weeks ago and you guys were all like, who's the old guy sloughing around, dragging his feet around the room? And now I'm in here, I'm hopping around, and you guys are like, how are we going to keep up with that guy?
Yeah, you are super giddy. I've been using it. it seems like you're on a very consistent basis.
Yeah.
I've been very inconsistent with it. So I need to make it a habit in my,
you got to
morning.
Got to build the gut health from the bottom. You got to start from the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah.
You don't go away from that. I do it every day. I'm working on a little intermittent fasting I'm starting to throw in there. And then the first thing I hit it with is the AG1.
It makes sense that, like, after we were done with the show yesterday, you were like, I got to get home. I got a run to do.
Yeah, I didn't run. That never happened. But
all right, well.
that was the plan. That was the plan. I stuck with the AG1 every morning. The running, walking, I'm more of a walk guy than I am a run guy. Let's be honest.
Disappointed in you, Grandpa Stucky.
Listen, walking is an excellent exercise. If you're telling me that walking is not good for you, it's better than running. It doesn't hurt your knees.
That's
what
true.
I probably should be doing is getting to a swimming pool, and getting one of those boards so your feet are floating behind you and start getting in some laps with the old people, The nose plug. I'm going to work on that this summer.
The nose plug would be pretty funny.
Two things, gentlemen. Two things.
Yes.
One, Rachel commented. She said, "Killed it, Ryan." Fire emoji. So that's all the confirmation that I need that I did in fact kill it.
Well, wait a minute. Is she referring to the shirt or the interview?
Probably both.
Both, I think.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And number two, I realized I do have to run. I'm going to run. Not really, but I have to get out of here. So thank you. Hold it down for me. I'll see you both in the Windy City tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we'll see
right,
it.
bro.
Hey, bring your Hawaiian shirt. You know what that means? Aloha means goodbye from Arizona.
Sounds good.
I think we saw Ryan on I swear I saw him on an episode of Hawaii Five-0 when Scott Kahn wasn't on one time. They had a detective come in, filled his place, and it was Detective Herrera. He was wearing one of those Hawaiian shirts like that.
Interesting. I've never watched the show.
You've never seen Hawaii Five-0?
No.
Some of the worst acting you'll ever see in television. You just watch one episode and you'll just be like, it's like a soap opera at night. I don't believe it's even on anymore, but it had a pretty good run. Rachel's saying obviously both.
Can't double up on Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
Or what did she say? Can't beat?
Can't beat a double up on
double
Hawaiian
up.
shirts.
Okay. All right. I got a handful of Hawaiian shirts at home too.
Do you really?
Yeah, honestly,
I don't have a Hawaiian shirt.
I have a feeling Ryan's gonna wear a Hawaiian shirt tomorrow when he comes in. I might wear a Hawaiian shirt too. We'll just have two guys here in Hawaiian
I have a
shirts.
feeling Ryan got those Hawaiian shirts 2 for 1 somewhere.
Perhaps.
Because that happens a lot with Hawaiian shirts, I think. All right, let's get to the Anthony Rizzo comments on The Athletic because I know there was a Twitter buzz about that.
Yeah.
Yesterday, it was the Wilson Contreras trade rumors that kind of set people spinning. This was to Ken Rosenthal. It's not like I'm sitting here saying I wish I had taken it, referring to the Cubs offer back in 21. I wish I had taken I'm not sitting here saying I wish I had taken it. If I play 4 to 6 more years, I'm going to make more money than I would have doing that. When it's all said and done, we'll see. As of now, no regrets.
Yeah.
He might be right about that. We're going to find out.
And it's all about him betting on himself.
Yes, it is. And that's not the comment that really struck me. I would expect a player to say, well, I don't have any regrets about that. It was more in referring to his time here in Chicago and maybe why re-signing wasn't necessarily what he wanted to do. He said, I wanted to stay there, but I've made money in this game. I made money and I want to win. That's definitely something that was important to me. So was he being told like there's not going to be some winning for a while, Is that why he was less interested in accepting that? I will say this. He is, not to knock Anthony Rizzo, but he is speaking out of both sides a little bit because he also said he wanted to be here for the next wave.
Right, yeah. Remember, right at the trade deadline, I remember a quote from him came out saying, what was it? I want to go down with the ship or something like that. Right. So, yeah, it kind of contradicts that comment there. So, for me, it's just kind of like, again, I'm closure. Like, just
it's closure for you.
Embracing closure. Like, there's just nothing about this situation between him and the Cubs that is going to be able to get me to take one side or the other. It seems like there's faults on both sides, in my opinion.
Do you think that feels like a shot, him saying that, talking about he wanted to win and that was important to him? And, like is it a little bit of a jab on the way out, or is it just him being honest? Like they weren't going to win. I don't think they're going to win next year. And so
I mean,
moving on.
If he's talking about winning the World Series next year, then I don't think it's a jab. But if he's just talking about being part of a winning team for years to come, then I think it's a jab, because the way that, with what we've been talking about in the first half of the show about the outfield and the potential and Brennan Davis and all this, like, I don't think anyone genuinely thinks that it's going to take 4 years like it did in the first rebuild that included him. I don't think anyone thinks it's going to take that long for the Cubs to be a playoff contender again.
Well, they could be a playoff contender. I know a lot of people don't think that, but again, we pointed it out yesterday. The Reds aren't trying. The Pirates aren't trying. You only have to beat 2 teams in your division. And frankly, if anybody thinks that the Cardinals and Brewers are so scary that you can't beat them in games, like, I don't think that at all. Are there question marks on the Cubs roster this year? Yeah, there's a lot of them. And a lot of those question marks have to come through for the Cubs to be interesting if they're going to get to the playoffs. That I would agree with. And if you're also looking at Anthony Rizzo, I don't think there's any reason to be, when you say closure, I agree with what he's doing, and I think you have to respect it. Number one, he's betting on himself.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with a player betting on himself. And we often hear people say, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. Here's a guy saying, you know what? It wasn't all about the money. I wanted the money, but I know I might be taking less right now. I'm betting on myself, and I want to win. And if you are looking at this objectively, do the Yankees have a better chance of winning the World Series this year, or the Cubs have a better chance of winning the World Series this year? He has a way better chance of winning the World Series with the Yankees this year. That's just fact.
I mean, yeah, I think on the basis of like the 2 divisions, yes. Even though that division is stacked.
It is, but they're a much better team that if they got to a postseason, I think they'd have a better chance to.
With the expansion of playoffs.
They will getting in as a wild card, they would still have a chance to do something in the postseason.
Right. And the Cubs, it's like, if this and this and this and this happen, and
you get hot in the postseason.
And you get hot.
For a long period of time.
Right, like then they can, make a run, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. It's just... To me, again, last year I thought that the biggest regret the Cubs would have regarding like what happened at the trade deadline, I really thought the biggest regret was going to be moving Kris Bryant. But I think in the long term now, like, yeah, they're going to regret that because Kris Bryant's going to mash at Coors Field. But as far as like the fan base and like
which one they're going to have the most regret about, I think I know what you're going to say, but say it. I'll tell you if I was right or wrong.
I think the biggest regret they'll have is just maybe not necessarily not bringing Rizzo back, but just not leaving this on good terms, like
better terms than what you think they might be.
Exactly. And from a pure baseball perspective, I would say the biggest regret they'll have is trading Kris Bryant and not finding a way to get that contract extension. But it's like, as far as the fan base and everything that makes Cubs fans and how we all fell in love with the 2016 team, people aren't going to forget about this Rizzo thing, and we will still be talking about it in 10 years, especially if they don't win another World Series in the next 10 years.
I think for whatever reason, the Cubs had mentally decided that Kris Bryant wasn't going to be here long term. I think they accepted that at some point early in his career, whether it was Scott Boras, whether it was him being angry over the time stuff and not coming up right out of the gate early in 15, the way that whole thing was handled, even though they went by what the rules were at the time.
And every other team.
Was it fair to him? No. Was it playing by the rules? It was playing by the rules that the player signed a deal on.
Right.
Whether it were those two things, I don't know. I don't know how. And there was a hole at the top of his swing that it took him a while to figure out. He's had some injuries. I don't know. I just feel like they knew it wasn't going to be a long-term deal for whatever reason with Bryant.
Maybe.
I think the guy they'll regret, even though I think Kris Bryant's going to be great in Colorado. He's going to, it's not going to help him win the World Series. He's going to put up huge numbers until he gets traded to a contending team at some point.
Right.
I think it's going to be Schwarber.
Yeah.
I think Schwarber finally figured it out with a new hitting coach, and he may end up still being the hitter that we all envisioned him continuing to be after 2016.
That's a good point. I mean, he is right now out of the if you throw in
especially
Baez,
with a DH.
Yeah, if you throw in Baez, I think you can argue it's like Bryant, Schwarber right now is like the two best of those four, and with Schwarber with more upside.
I think Schwarber's going to might have the longest career out of that group. Bryant's flexibility gives him that. I think Rizzo is, shown some back problems and things, and
he is older.
He's older, and teams worry about that. And I worried as a Cubs fan that Javi Baez's body would not hold up the way he played the game, the way we love to see. Everybody loves to see Javi Baez play full go, make the great slides into home at second base, all that stuff. Sooner or later, I worry that his body will not hold up the older he gets.
Last year, he had what was it? I don't want to say it was the back. Was it oblique? He had an oblique issue.
Yeah, it's just,
and it's
playing that way is difficult not to get hurt sometimes.
Well, you mentioned all that, but also he just swings hard.
Yeah, everything he does.
Every time.
Yeah.
He swings hard, and how will that play out? I mean, there were times last year when he was on the Cubs where he did that, and then he sat out for a few days. So, yeah, I mean, I think
you slide like that head first a lot. Eventually, you're going to break some thumb. I don't know. I don't wish him bad at all. Javi Baez was a great Cubs player. He's still one of my favorite baseball players to watch. I'll watch him with the Tigers.
I love the MLB tweet today from the MLB Twitter account. They tweeted 4 photos. It was Javi Baez and this kid. The kid had a sign that says something like, "Baez, you're my favorite player. Will you sign my card?" He's wearing a Cubs hat. And anyway, it was 4 pictures of a story, and the ending picture was him signing this kid's baseball card. And again, the kid was wearing a Cubs hat. That's why I bring it up. And it's things like that. There were so many flaws in Javi Baez's game, even though he was the most exciting player that I've ever seen in a Cubs uniform. He was maybe the most exciting player in baseball for a stretch. For sure. And
arguably,
he's the one that I don't want to say I'm not going to miss, but he's one that I will be okay if he does go on to have, if his numbers get back to 2018, 2019 form. I'll be happy for him, but I won't regret much that happens. 1, because the Cubs have a slew of shortstops coming up, and 2, because while he's with the Cubs, it just, especially in 20 and 21, it felt like he just did not want to adjust to a different style because the league had adjusted to him and how he does things. And it'll be interesting to see if he can, get back to that form now that he's with the Tigers and all that. So
closure, Cody. I think Cubs fans as a whole will root for each and every one of those guys the rest of their careers. They should. And they all have been great in this community as well. Right. Each one of those guys has done something special in the Chicago area. The Ricketts family this was another buzz on Twitter, was that the Ricketts family reportedly flew to London to be part of their bid to buy the Chelsea Football Club. And I knew Joey was going to throw that in there because, of course, biblical losses, the way Tom described the franchise with COVID and the way that changed it to a 60-game season and all of that. And there's, people are talking about how much money they're spending this offseason, although they have greatly outspent the rest of the division this offseason. Greatly outspent the rest of the division this offseason. People still wanted Correa, and people still wanted Castellanos, and people still wanted them to re-sign guys. But the juxtaposition of going after being part of a bid for a soccer club overseas is a PR nightmare.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this last week whenever it came into the news. It was the same day that the Cubs signed Suzuki.
Right.
It
was right around there, and I was like, well, this helps quiet that crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
The Suzuki.
Listen, man, I'm just as big a critic of the Ricketts family as anyone. As long as whatever they're doing doesn't affect how the Cubs are going to spend, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. And again, Tom should know this. Tom should know by now that if he wants to get the fan base off his back, he's got to play fair here. Like he has to invest in his baseball team.
I know. And I was with you on the rant you went on about re-signing Wilson Contreras. If it's a money thing, that shouldn't be a money thing. Mm-hmm. I will say this, and this is not going to be popular in the Cubs angry Twitter feed. Tom Ricketts did bring a World Series team here, and if you don't believe it, he was willing to suck it up and let them tear it down. Tell Theo, they brought Theo in, and they said, you know what? Don't worry about the attendance. Rip it down to the rafters, just down to the beams, and you go ahead and take your time and build it to a World Series champion.
Right.
And he did it.
Right.
So, never forget that. He's the guy that got you the World Series. He rebuilt Wrigley Field with his own cash. On the other side of town, the city of Chicago and people of Illinois built a stadium over there. He got none of that cash on the north side. Different times, doesn't matter to me. One side got it, the other side didn't. One side has the number one tourist attraction in the entire state, the other side doesn't.
Right.
So I don't think that was fair. Personally, I don't think it was fair that they had to flip the whole bill for Wrigley Field. Now they're gonna benefit from it. They've renovated all of Wrigley Field. If you went to Wrigley Field 15 years ago and you look at it now, I know people are going to say it's doesn't have the charm. Stop it.
That's not true.
It's 10 times nicer than it was 15 years ago.
I agree.
It is way nicer than it was before. It still has charm when you go into the ballpark.
Yeah.
Could I do without one of the jumbotrons? Sure.
Probably, yeah.
But it's ways of bringing in money to the team. Have they done everything right? No, they haven't made every right move. But you know what? If you had one goal for them as owners, it was to win the World Series. They did it. They're still trying. They're greatly outspending every other team in the division right now. Stop telling other people how to spend their money just because they're billionaires.
Right.
It's still their money. If they want to invest in Apple stock, invest in Apple stock. I can't tell. You just wouldn't know about it.
Right.
The difference is it's another sports franchise, but it's still just an investment to them.
Right. I think the thing that fans get all up in arms about the Ricketts family is it's not that they don't spend, it's that they don't spend enough, because considering the market the Cubs are in, they're not up there with the Dodgers. And
not right now, but in 2016 and some of those years, they were
for sure.
They were way up there.
For sure. But people want it every year.
I understand that, and we're spending somebody else's money. Like,
yes,
I also understand their side. Like, if the investment isn't correct for that year, why would you go just all bonkers and throw money out the window? Like, I get that too. It's easy to spend somebody else's money.
Right.
Very easy.
Right.
I'll just ask you this: are they better owners than the Tribune Company?
For sure.
Of course they are. And I understand some of the heat comes from political points and all of those things. But if you're just talking about them as owners of the baseball team, they're way better than the Tribune Company. They won you a World Series. They rebuilt your stadium. They rebuilt the neighborhood around your stadium, and it's all making them money. So if they want to buy a soccer team, it's a bad PR move in my mind. But I have no problem with them doing it.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is, like, if they buy that soccer team and then we're sitting here in 2 years and nothing's changed with the Cubs, then
if they never sign another big free agent ever, like when they get competitive, if another John Lester doesn't happen.
Right.
But guys, they just signed Stroman and Suzuki.
Right. And even though all these other dudes that they brought in isn't like a major name or anything, like you said, they have spent more money in the division than anyone else. They, like, a lot of people claim that, or like to claim that we're acting like the smallest market team in the league, but they're not. They've spent more money in the division than anyone else. They're not the Reds. They didn't just sell off all their all-star players.
No, and they offered deals to all of those players.
Yeah.
They did. Now we see it, and we're like, and most of them look like they were pretty competitive offers.
Right. And I think a lot of it just I think we talked about it last week. It's like a lot of fans just don't want to admit that there's some fault in those players in the way that they went about some of those things, like the contract betting on themselves type thing.
Right.
And again, that's their right to do what they wanted to do. But I think at the end of the day, that this is that's why a lot of people are just so against ownership, because they're just so on the player side. And when it comes to certain things, I am on the player side, especially when we were talking about the lockout and stuff like that.
Agreed.
Very much on the player side. I just think that there's a line with some of that. And as we've seen things play out, it's like, well, this kind of makes some sense. It's more and more. But again, at the deadline last year, I was just like every other fan that was upset or anything. I knew those trades were happening, most likely going to happen, but I was hoping that it wasn't going to be all of them.
Yeah.
Because I thought the one they would keep would be one they would try to actually extend, and then they moved all of them instead, except for Contreras, you could say. And, we'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, there's just, again, you mentioned PR nightmare. All we as fans, me and you and the people in the chat, all we can do is just wait and see what happens with how they run both these teams if they get this soccer team.
If they're part of it. And they're not going to be like the main person.
Right.
From what I understand, their role in it will also be sort of a real estate role, that they want to build around this stadium a Wrigleyville-type renovation. And so it would be sort of repeating, just like they took advantage of what happened at Fenway Park. Now Chelsea would like to take advantage of what happened around Wrigley Field. So it's going to somebody that has experience with it. If you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app. Use the code CHGO. When you sign up, not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now, register your account from start to finish, all from your phone, and you're signing up with the fastest sportsbook. It's easier than ever, and you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And here at CHGO, we're trying to bring you daily podcasts, live shows, every team, every day, post-game shows after every game, pre-game shows, premium written content for members at allchgo.com. Ryan Herrera has been working his tail off out there with Vinny Duber in Arizona. They're both on their way back. Tan lines and all, sand in their shoes. They're headed back, but you can read all their stuff at allchgo.com. They'll be covering the teams at the ballparks all season long for in-depth articles and information, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Dope merch for all teams, free shirt when you become a member, and the members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge.
Speaking of Hawaiian shirts today, we should get a CHGO Cubs Hawaiian shirt.
Yes. In honor of Herrera, a CHGO Hawaiian shirt. I'm just here to get guys out.
Hell yeah.
Man, what could the slogan be for Herrera? Or it could be, I'm Ryan Herrera from CHGO. You all know me.
You know me.
You know me. I like you know me on it. Just you know me would be good. Like Rizzo's, what was his? You respect me?
Respect me.
Respect me?
Yeah.
Ryan's is now, you know me.
You know me with the point.
You know me. Or is it, you know me? Depends on how you deliver it.
I don't think he would deliver
Oh,
it
you
like
know
that.
me. I think it was the other way. The way he said it was more, you know me.
He had some
Very
sass on there.
Yeah, some sass. Rachel in the comments says Ian Happ and the Cubs have settled at 6.68 or 85 million, avoiding arbitration.
Well, that's good. Now, hopefully, the next part is that Ian Happ is healthy.
Yes.
And I know his target was opening day. It seems
they
more and more.
They went to arbitration last year, I thought.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, I mean, it's good this year that they did not.
I would like to see him be healthy and figure out if he's the first half player or the second half player. And
just need a full season.
I would assume that this is a make or break year for Ian Happ in a Cubs uniform.
Yeah.
Right?
I would. Yeah. This is it. And it's I hate to say it because he's such a good dude.
100%. Nobody's saying anything about him.
Right.
Like, as a baseball player, this is when he's going to have to show he can do it for a full season.
Right.
Because he's had some points where you look at him and go, that's a first-round pick, and that's the guy we want in our outfield.
Right. And, I mean, when the Cubs first brought him up and they were in the middle of their window and everything, you were like, man, you add this guy in, and that changes this team. And, you know, we can sit here and talk about why the Cubs never won another World Series and all that. And, you know, one of my reasons, I think, is, you know, lack of homegrown starting pitching.
Yep, number one.
You know, I thought that the way they handled the Addison Russell situation was a big factor. A lot of people like to fight me about that. That is what it is. But no one really talks about how Ian Happ and, like, his inconsistencies. So I don't want to say it's a top 5 reason, but it is a reason in being of players who the Cubs have brought up and just haven't performed to what they expected. And, again, 2017
Hayward not playing like they thought he would play. Like, he has been what he has been, and he made the speech and all those things, but he hasn't played to the level they thought he would play for this contract. That's,
for sure.
That's obviously one of them as well.
Yeah.
Making the Quintana trade instead of getting Verlander is a huge moment in Cubs history where they went backwards instead of really moving forward. And I mean, there's a lot of different ones.
The Quintana trade, I always believe, is that, I mean, Eloy's going to probably hit 30 to 40 bombs for the next, another 5 years with the Sox. But to me, moving Cease in that deal is what's really
was the
hurt
key
the
piece.
Cubs
Right,
too,
yeah,
because,
agreed.
again, no homegrown starting pitching, and at the time, he was the one guy they had.
I still think it was the right move. It just turned out to be a very expensive package.
Yeah, it's just what happens when you do those trade deadline
100%.
blockbuster trades.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we did our tournament of sweet and savory 16. We have a champion. We did all the voting online in the poll. You guys went out and voted. It came down to the Vienna Beef. We had 2 brackets. We had the Ballpark Classics, and then we had Wrigleyville Food. And those are the 2 sides that met. So coming out of the Ballpark Classics, the Vienna Beef hot dog.
It was never in doubt.
Was never in doubt. It came in from the one side. And then from outside the ballpark, it was the slight walk up the road to the Wiener Circle for the chocolate shake. And that was our showdown in the championship. Wiener Circle got involved in this on social media. They wanted, they gave us a few sup. They gave us a few sups, and then they offered us to come in if they won and said, we'll take you into the relish room, right?
This tweet made me laugh so
I can't
hard
read this
today.
because my mom's watching.
My mom's watching. She hears me curse all the time. Sorry, Mom. Wiener Circle quote tweeted our video that we posted last night from yesterday's show.
After they invited us to the relish room, which I pointed out, what is that?
What is the relish room, right? And they said, come fuck around and find out, mofos. HBIC Poochie will come show you our award-winning service behind the counter, play horse at the Wiener's Court,
What?
have a drink in our bar, perhaps a dog walker's J, if that's your flavor, and then you'll be loose for your show in the relish room.
They have a bar?
Apparently.
I've been there. They've really expanded if they have a bar. I don't know. And what was the name on there that was going to show us around?
That's Poochie. She's like the manager.
Poochie. Okay.
She runs the establishment.
Gotcha.
Okay.
See, now
I've never been there, so I don't know.
When I saw that, I thought, isn't that somebody that broke a story once
Perhaps.
on Twitter? A big trade or something like that? I thought that was. Oh no, that was wet butt.
Or wet butt, not wet.
Wet
foot.
butt.
Wet butt booty hole or whatever.
So that's good. So the bracket went down, and Vienna Beef did beat Wiener Circle Chocolate Shake. However, we still would like to go down to the relish room because Wiener Circle did not fully lose out here. Wiener Circle is a winner chicken dinner because they still serve the Vienna Beef hot dog.
Exactly.
So either way, Wiener Circle was winning this thing.
Right. They quote tweeted the poll yesterday as well and was like, win we win, lose we win, or something like that.
Right. So, Wiener Circle, I don't know how we're going to work this out, but I want to get down there, have a char dog, a chocolate shake, some of those fries, maybe get some cheese on that, and you can insult me all you want.
Yeah. We watched the Conan O'Brien.
Oh, yeah, Triumph
skit.
Insult Dog with the guy from 30 Rock.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, that is a great YouTube clip.
I had never seen it. And
it's really good.
I was rolling.
Kenneth from 30 Rock goes there and gets annihilated by the people at Wiener Circle, and he shows up as a redemption with Triumph the Insult Dog over his shoulder,
right,
to throw it back at the people at Wiener Circle.
It was a good 10 minutes of the day.
That's the type of redemption we may need after some of these podcasts. Some days we might need Triumph the Insult Dog to fire back at the people on the chat line.
Oh,
anybody say anything bad about us today?
I don't think so.
Seems fairly nice.
That's one of the nice things about these shows so far is I don't think we've got any people calling us morons or anything like that.
Yeah, we should wrap it up on that, huh?
Yeah.
Before anybody has anything negative to say, let's get out of here. Thanks for listening and watching the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Wednesday, Brennan Miller's going to try and jump on. The pitch doctor, hopefully going to join us and break down some Cubs pitching. We'll see you then.